The most anticipated earnings releases for the week of October 30th, 2023, presented by Earnings Whispers. There are more than 1,000 companies with analyst estimates scheduled to report earnings this week, with around 400 reporting on Thursday. One item that stands out on the calendar for Thursday is Starbucks, which is scheduled to report earnings before the market opens. It is likely the first time in its 31 years as a publicly traded company that it reported earnings before the open. The stock has been trending lower into a support area and, while a change in reporting often creates some volatility, the company appears to have tracked above estimates during the quarter. About a dozen S&P 500 companies were late to schedule their earnings releases, but have scheduled results for this week, making this the peak of earnings season for the index. Of notable interest among these late reporters is DTE Energy, which has pushed results back into November for the first time in more than a decade. Weather has been a headwind during the quarter, a trend that has continued into the start of the fourth quarter, making the stock vulnerable in the near term. Things are going to get busy right away this week, with 100 companies scheduled to report on Monday. Most are reporting after the close, but the two names at the top of traders' list report before the open. Sentiment has dropped since SoFi's earnings last quarter, but remains above the trough earlier in the year. Meanwhile, sentiment is little changed for McDonald's, but is primarily neutral after reaching a multi-year low in late 2022. Analyst checks during the quarter appear mixed. There will be about 150 companies reporting on Tuesday, including the stock that is second on traders' lists this week. AMD missed whispered expectations last quarter, and the stock has been trending lower ever since, but sentiment has increased along the way to its highest level in a couple of years. Before the open on Tuesday, we'll get results from Pfizer. The company pre-announced negative results on COVID-related write-offs, and after the stock has been trending lower throughout 2023, the company's earnings has the potential to be a clearing event for the stock. We will kick off the first trading day of November with ISM manufacturing data and a rate decision by the FOMC, but that news will have to contend with more than 300 earnings releases. Investors and traders will be most closely watching two names after the close that day. At the top of the list is PayPal, where investors have been rather bearish the stock since early 2022, but the stock has continued to trend lower. Market share losses continue to plague the company, but concerns of a slowing consumer in 2024 have also helped keep sentiment low. ROKU, on the other hand, saw sentiment bottom in early 2023, shortly after the stock's bottom. Sentiment then reached its highest level in more than 2 years shortly after the company's last earnings release, which saw the stock rally on the news. While the stock has pulled back, sentiment is little changed, and analyst checks have leaned modestly positive. Palantir went public after the pandemic, and short interest has been trending higher since its IPO, which isn't unusual. Sentiment, while now bearish, peaked in August just before its earnings release. Volatility is high, primarily because of its recent moves, but expectations for the quarter are rather muted, and the main view is that trends are going to continue higher in the coming quarters. Of course, Apple is what you mainly care about. Around the start of the year, sentiment reached a multi-year low of the kind that has resulted in strong long-term rallies in the past. The stock is up significantly since, and sentiment is now mostly neutral. The company is expected to announce new Macs earlier in the week, which is often a sell-the-news event. But before investors look out into new products in early 2024, they will assess the latest iPhone numbers. Checks appear mixed, with a nod to the upside. There are another 75 companies scheduled to report results on Friday, but not a lot that traders will focus on. FuboTV and Inbridge top the list. Inbridge has been trending lower throughout the year, and, despite expectations for an upside tick to estimates, the fundamental trends are expected to continue lower in the coming year, which suggests the stock will follow. The most volatile stock this week is Funko, which missed estimates and lowered guidance last quarter, and there is little evidence that the trends have changed, with inventories appearing to remain high.